In today's show, why Justise Winslow has fit so well with the Trailblazers and where Portland stands heading into the All-Star break. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard, Trailblazers reporter Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen every single day. It's available on all platforms, free, 5 days a week, coming at you every single weekday, the only daily Trailblazers podcast. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it a part of your first listen and tell your friends to do the same. In today's show, we're going to be talking about a bunch of newcomers. A little bit later on in the episode, Law Murray of The Athletic is going to join the program. And Law covers the Clippers for The Athletic. We're going to talk about Justise Winslow and Eric Bledsoe and Keon Johnson, two guys we haven't seen, and Winslow, who's really impressed in his 5 games with the Trailblazers. But before we get there, let's kind of just take stock of where the Blazers are. They're heading into the All-Star break in 10th place, 2 games clear of the Pelicans, 2 games clear of the Spurs. That means Portland is in, I don't know if the driver's seat with 20 games left, but in a very comfortable position to make the play. They are a two game lead and a clear lead over those 2 teams. Portland is 4-1 since trading CJ McCollum. The Pelicans, since acquiring CJ McCollum, are just 1-4. CJ's been balling in New Orleans, but the Pelicans have not been winning. McCollum had 38 tonight, including 15 in the fourth quarter in New Orleans, but the Pels still lost to the Dallas Mavericks. So we're heading in the All-Star break. The Blazers find themselves in a good spot. They can rest. They can get right. They have a bunch of injuries, but it's not guys who are, part of the plan. They've put themselves in this odd position where they don't necessarily need to win, but they've been winning, and they're playing in a play-in round. While it's maybe not good for their specific purposes, doesn't get rid of, the lottery protected pick they have won't come into effect until they make the playoffs. Finishing in 10th place, they would still have to win 2 games to actually make the playoffs. The play-in round has no impact on the lottery protection. So we're a long way from there. The Blazers are still probably on track to end up with 2 and probably almost certainly 1. They're pretty much locked to get 1 and probably 2 lottery picks. And we're heading into All-Star weekend with no Blazers involved. Anthony Simons not defending his dunk contest title, said that it was just a checklist, as he described it to The Athletic, and then later to reporters. And when he was asked to follow up about it, it's just he wanted to check it off his list. He's doing it. I asked him specifically, so when do you get a 3-point contest? And he smiled and said, maybe next year. But we'll have to wait for next year for Ant to be involved. No Blazers in the rookie-sophomore game. No Blazer, whatever they call it now, Rising Stars game. No Blazers in the big game on Sunday in the All-Star game. Maybe Anthony Simons will be there next year if you're really hopeful. Maybe Dame and Ant potentially on the team next year. But for now, this is just sort of a moment to rest for the Blazers. They have a week off. They've extended the All-Star break a little. Guys to get a chance to recharge, to go somewhere warm, and to come back and keep rolling. They go into the break with 4 straight wins. And while maybe some of us around the world, including this podcaster, would think it's better if they lose, this team's playing good basketball. We'll have to wait a week to see them play good basketball again. So that's where they stand. Today's show is going to be a little bit different. I recorded this interview a little bit earlier in the week. Law Murray of The Athletic joining me to talk about the Clippers. I thought it'd be a good time to kind of touch base with guys we haven't seen, and Eric Bledsoe and Keon Johnson, and a guy we have seen a little bit of and has looked pretty good in Justise Winslow. And nobody around the NBA has gotten a closer look at them than Law, someone who literally follows the Clippers all over this dang country. So that's what I'm going to play for you to close the show, is my interview with Law Murray. But before we do that, I want to tell you all about BetOnline. It's the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. Whether that action is the Trailblazers, whether that action is literally the All-Star game or the Rising Stars games this weekend, you can find lines and props and odds on that on betonline.net. But if you don't want to bet on basketball, you can bet on hockey. You can bet on the close of the Olympic Games. You can bet on combat sports. You can bet on tennis. You can bet on soccer. Whatever it is, you'll find lines. You'll find props. You'll find odds, real-time betting. It's future bets, whatever you want. Head on over to betonline.net. Take advantage of all the fun stuff they got going on. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. Today's show is also brought to you by Gresham Family Law. When you are faced with a big decision that could affect your family and your future, remember that you don't have to face it alone. Gresham Family Law has your back. From helping you to prepare for a successful marriage, to protecting your home, to preserving your legacy, and ensuring that your last wishes are honored with respect, Gresham Family Law is proud to provide holistic family law representation and counsel in areas of family law, including divorce, custody, probate of wills, estate planning, and bankruptcy. So call Gresham Family Law right now at 503-465-9900. That's 503-465-9900 to set up an in-person consultation at their location at 1217 Northeast Burnside Road in Gresham, or you can do it over the phone, or you can do it via video teleconferencing. Plus, home visits are available for certain types of clients and certain types of cases. Visit GreshamFamilyLaw.com for more information. All right. So as promised, let's talk a little bit about some of the Blazers' new guys. A couple weeks ago now, when the Blazers, about 10 days ago now, when the Blazers traded Norman Powell and Robert Covington to the Los Angeles Clippers, in return, they received Justise Winslow, Eric Bledsoe, and Keon Johnson. We haven't seen Keon Johnson or Eric Bledsoe yet, but we have seen a lot of Justise Winslow. So I wanted to get someone who's seen them up close to tell us a little bit more about the new guys. And who better to do that than Clippers beat writer Law Murray? So what I want to play for you the rest of the episode is my interview with Law, who does a great job kind of getting you closer and helping us learn a little bit more about some of the newest Trailblazers. Joining me now, the Clippers beat writer from The Athletic, a man making his Wilt Chamberlain journey from Philly to LA, none other than Law Murray. Law, how you doing?
Man, I'll go Will Smith more than Wilt Chamberlain, man. Wilt was cool, but my people don't know Wilt Chamberlain like that. So, but I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing all right. I'm not traveling all over the country with the Clippers like you are, so I'm probably a little more well rested. But because you've been all over the damn map with them, you're ready to kind of give Blazer fans an insight into some former Clippers and how they're going to help the Blazers. That's what I want to talk to you about today.
Absolutely.
Let's start at the top. Justise Winslow was having the worst season of his career with the Clippers, and in 5 games with the Blazers, we're recording this for my listeners before the Memphis Grizzlies game to close out the first half of the season, or the 70% mark, depending on how you're scoring at home. But he's been balling. Justise Winslow's been good. What was holding him back, or why do you think he's thriving more here than he did in LA's system?
Well, I do, if I can quibble a little bit with the characterization. I can understand on paper where you look and see, he's had his worst season.
Sure.
But this man's gone through so much, and I mean, I would argue that his worst year was probably that any of the seasons where he didn't make it to 20 games.
Right. 12
you know what
games.
I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you look at his year last year in Memphis, and Mans was brought in as a key piece. And by the time the playoffs rolled around, Taylor Jenkins, basically, he wasn't in the rotation at all. He was relegated to garbage time by the 2021 postseason, and the Memphis Grizzlies declined his team option. And that's how he got to be available in the first place.
Right.
I'm pretty sure, when last season started, I think this time last year was actually when Justise returned from a hip injury that a lot of people think that he had surgery on, but he made it pretty clear when we asked about him, that thing did not get surgically repaired. Justise chose, and the treatment options available to him, ultimately, it was determined to let that thing heal naturally. He said, like his newborn baby. So he's gone through a lot. He had to wait to debut in Memphis. He never quite got right physically. Memphis tried him at the 3. They let him play the backup point for a while. It didn't work out. The Clippers signed him. They were like, you're probably going to be tried as a backup point guard, but we're also going to probably play you at the 5 position. They knew they wanted to do different things with Justise. Again, Justise was about to have his new baby, so he missed a week for that. Every time it seemed like Justise was about to develop some kind of rhythm with the Clippers, something would happen. Obviously, you saw what COVID did to a lot of teams this winter. Justice, right when it looked like he was turning another corner, that comeback win in Brooklyn, Justice hit the go-ahead field goal,
Yeah.
off of a roll from Eric Bledsoe. Maybe you'll talk about him later. And he gets COVID like a week later. So like, there are so many starts and stops associated with Justice on a new team, a team that had an idea of how they wanted to play. I thought Justice, when he got out of health and safety protocols in right ahead of this road trip, was absolutely just he looked like a guy who knew what he wanted to do, and the team that was eager to put him in position to succeed. He played great in fourth quarters, man. Rebounding, mashing small guys. Like, I thought that Justice was about to be like, all right, this is it. This is the moment. Like, he went to Miami and he took the whole damn team, not the players, but the support team, the traveling party, all out on the boats and whatnot. It was like, this is my city. Like, he was really making himself a part of he was a true Clipper. He really was. And so to see him go was, it was a hurt piece. The Clippers are thrilled with Robert Covington, but looking at him have to play for an undermanned Portland team. I mean, look, the shooting is always going to be a bugaboo with him. It's amazing to me that he once shot 38% from three
I know.
for the Miami Heat. Like, he's not, that was the biggest issue with Ty. Like, Ty was like, sometimes you just can't put Justice out there because of the struggles with his shooting. If he doesn't have the ball in his hands, it's a struggle there. But he plays his ass off.
He does.
And he's now showing in this sample size with the Blazers that translates to a 30-minute role. And I'm happy for him, man.
What position is he? Like,
he's a
backup point guard, backup center, 3, 4. Where is the best role? You've seen him up close. Where's the best role for him on like a good team?
On a good team, shoot. On a good team, you've seen a lot of these guys, man. Play him at the power forward and put some shooting around him. Yep. You know what I mean? If he is bulky and strong. He's not the same athlete as he was coming out of Duke. He's not the lottery pick pedigree isn't quite there anymore. But the dude is a hard playing basketball player with a legitimate body at 6'6". In this era of the NBA, you can make that work. He's probably a dollar store Draymond Green. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where the Blazers kind of have him right now. I think Chauncey Billups, he's a smart dude. He, coaching staff he came from, he got to work and see Ty work. Like, that's where he's at. And just don't ask him to space the floor or go away. Like, he has to be involved on both ends of the floor. Ask him to blow stuff up on defense. Ask him to grab and go. Ask him to set up at the elbow or do what he said he likes to do, which is be like, a big kid looking at Dwayne Wade start of his career, have his back to the basket and make moves that way. That's what you do with Justise Winslow.
Yeah, they've used him at the elbow. They've run some split cuts out of the post with him, which I really like. Just because if in the post you can engage a defender, and then his passing, he's just a great passer. The dude is a great passer. He is really gifted. And they kind of figured it out. I wonder as you move forward, and if like you said, him at the 4, I think is a totally legitimate spot, but you got to put shooters around him. And so I think the calculation is Dame can shoot, Anthony Simons can shoot, Josh Hart can maybe shoot, Nazir Little can maybe shoot. Like, who plays the 3 next to Justice to unlock him? And if you can't figure that out, is he a backup? And I think he could be a backup on a good team. Like, I think if he's your third forward, he has enough juice to be pretty darn good. I was a big time believer in young Justise Winslow. I may have jumped off the bandwagon. I may have slipped off the back of the truck, but I was a big time believer in young Justise Winslow. So I think there's a path forward for him to be pretty good. And I think you're right. Like, he's physically, he can play this game, and if his body can hold up, he's going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember he's 26. Maybe he's an old 26 because of all the injuries he's been through. I mean, it's not just the hip that delayed his Memphis tenure. I mean, there was the back issue. That's when Miami's cut the cord and was like, all right, we're trading him. Remember, Miami signed him to a really nice extension. That's the one that had the team option that Memphis would eventually decline. That's the rub when you got a guy who plays so hard, is how long can he hold up when you know that he's had durability issues over multiple teams and multiple seasons. But beyond that, the dude loves the game. He's a great guy, great character. Like that's the kind of player you want on your team. And yeah, I think a lot of people would always wanted Justice to succeed, even come from his time in Duke, in part because of the kind of person that he is. Because his statistics, even at Duke, weren't special. You
Right.
know, it's his quote unquote intangibles, right? That's look in a year that could have went really sideways for Portland and seems to have stabilized at least somewhat. That stuff matters.
Absolutely. I love the story you told about him taking the support staff out on the boats in Miami. That is there are real tales to be learned on the road. So if you're listening out there, news outlets, send your folks on the road so they can learn the tales. I know law literally is everywhere. So yeah, I'm not talking to anyone.
Shoot, I would have loved to have told that story, but Mans got traded literally a week later. I'm like,
Yeah.
I had a damn good Justice story, but oh well.
All right. Well, it's save it for Locked On Blazers. Speaking of another veteran who is a new Blazer and we have not seen, real quick, I want to tell you about Built Bar, the best tasting protein bar on the market and the best tasting protein bar, frankly, I've ever had. Your typical Built Bar's got 17 grams of protein, 130 calories, just 4 grams of sugar, and 4 net carbs. If you're reaching in my pantry, you're going to find peanut butter brownie and cookies and cream. That's typically what we've got on hands, but they got all types of flavors for whatever your palate is, whether you want mint brownie or coconut, almond, salted caramel, or double chocolate, or any of the fruit flavors. Plus, they got limited time flavors, so you got to check built.com to see what they've got that's new this month. Whatever you're going to find is going to be tasty. It's going to be healthy. So go right now, built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15. You'll get 15% off your next order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Still a pass first point guard. Still Mike Richmond. You are still listening to Locked On Blazers. Here's the rest of my conversation with Law Murray. Eric Bledsoe played every game for 54 games with the Clippers, and now he is maybe being intentionally held out by the Blazers for buyout reasons, flexibility reasons, whatever you want to call it. Eric Bledsoe can play, right? Like he's not an unplayable vet. Is that fair to say?
It is fair to say. I mean, Eric is another one who you got to understand. This Clippers team made it to the damn conference finals,
right,
while already dealing with critical injuries to 2 of their opening day starters in Kawhi and Serge Ibaka. Okay. It's not like the team came to training camp and was like, so we don't know what the hell we're doing. Like it was the other way around. These new guys, Justice and Eric, had to come in and integrate themselves with a team that, even though they were shorthanded, already knew a good idea of how they wanted to play. Eric struggled mightily to start the year. I understand why Ty was like, let's try this thing that Stan Van Gundy tried and have Eric Bledsoe be a shooting guard next to a relatively ball-dominant point guard. Even if you don't think Reggie Jackson is that guy, Paul George is definitely that guy. And right. Eric predictably struggled. Eric's shot wasn't where it needed to be to start this year. And he looked like a fish out of water a lot of the times. But Ty, being the smart head coach that he is, adjusted eventually, got some time. And Eric was, unsurprisingly, a lot better as a backup point guard when he got his own unit. He started to really play his best basketball when Reggie got sick with COVID, had to be sidelined for a week or so. And Eric had an amazing stretch in Boston, the game in Brooklyn I told you about. That's when Eric was really starting to percolate. And so, I mean, Eric was in there for that comeback in Washington. So Eric you can't ask him to be an off guard. Like that's just not smart. But Portland obviously is doing some other things. We'll find out in 2 weeks what those things are.
Do you think if he were to be bought out, because I think he's potentially could be bought out by the Blazers. He's got, money left on this season, but it's a partially guaranteed for next year for about $3.5 million. Do you think if he's bought out, he will have a market for good teams? Like, do you think he will be, everyone is a candidate for the Lakers, literally any adult who gets bought out, but like other, competitive teams, do you think Eric Bledsoe will be coveted to some extent?
I would think so. I know the Clippers would love to have him, but they can't do that. That's just the Derek Fisher ruined that for everybody, right?
Jerry Stackhouse too. I think when Jerry Stackhouse got traded from the Mavs, he said, "See y'all in a month." And then they were like, "Okay, we got to fix this rule. Like, this is a mess."
Exactly. So, I mean, it's funny because, especially with the unfortunate injury to Norm, who of course would last 3 games, and with his relative hometown Clippers team before going out with his own injury, the Clippers really needed a kind of player that Eric is right now. So they didn't trade Eric Bledsoe because they didn't want Eric Bledsoe. They traded Eric Bledsoe to get Norm Powell.
Right.
Eric was a big part of how the Clippers got to still be competitive without their big guys in the lineup. So the NBA saw that. The NBA, there's like one team that probably wouldn't want him. That's New Orleans Pelicans. They hate this bull. Like for a team that is so lukewarm on pro basketball, they can't stand Eric Bledsoe. But for everybody else, I think if you're their point guards are a dime a dozen to me, but Eric is still a competent NBA basketball player. His statistics might not be special, but he's still a guy who can get into the paint, get and ones, be disruptive. He's got muscles for a damn reason. Okay.
Yeah.
He can still get it done.
Yeah. I mean, the question is, and we're kind of debating this in Portland, is like the Blazers are playing Dennis Smith Jr., those backup minutes. Like, Eric Bledsoe is probably better than Dennis Smith Jr. If you're just picking like veteran point guard, former lottery pick, who's going to give you some like dependable minutes, like I think you'd rather go Bled there. Although Dennis Smith Jr.'s had some nice minutes. So this isn't DSJ slander. This is just like the Blazers have some options. They're leaning Dennis Smith Jr. And right now they're just letting Josh Hart play those backup point guard minutes because Portland isn't super invested in winning. In fact, they'd like to lose more than they are, but they keep tricking off wins, man.
Yeah, they're in no man's land. It's a tough place to be. It reminds me of last year's Toronto Raptors, where if you looked at the Tampa Raptors to start opening night lineup, you know what I mean? With Norm as a backup when that team, you would probably think, yeah, like they just won the championship in 2019. They, were one game away from another conference finals appearance in the bubble. Like, yeah, that season obviously went to hell. They lost a bunch of close games. They had some key injuries. They could have made a trade they didn't make. They made a big trade with the Blazers, right? And it was like they still could have played for play, but the Raptors eventually were pretty blatant in that we are really not trying to do this year.
Exactly.
Let's get a lottery pick. They won the lottery. They got the 4th pick, and look at where the Raptors are now. The Blazers are kind of in the same boat. Like they have to lose enough games to keep their pick in this case, right? I think Chicago's in contention to get a pick from them, and so I can understand it. They're in a really tough spot where it's like, damn it, Chauncey. Like, what the hell? But Chauncey, he ain't trying to be Brian Flores, okay? Like, this dude is coaching to win. Players coach to win. It's front offices that have the ulterior motive. So they're in a tough spot right now.
The Blazers have this balance where it's like they have like 4 pretty good NBA players with Justice and Josh Hart and Ant Simons and Nurk, and it's like you're gonna be competitive with that group. So they're kind of caught in a space where unless they're going to be super blatant and just say, okay, Anthony Simons is only allowed to play 26 minutes a night, then they're going to be good on some nights. I want to ask you about the third guy that the Blazers got in that trade with the Clippers. Keon Johnson is out till after the All-Star break. He's got an ankle injury. It's hard to know if he'll play much at all this season, but I think the Blazers value him pretty highly. From what I understand, they value him pretty highly. It's what Joe Cronin suggested. You are probably one of the few guys who have seen Keon up close at the Agua Caliente Clippers games. What does Keon bring to the table, or could potentially bring to the table?
Yeah, man, I got to talk to Keon after one of the more bizarre events in the Clippers season, where this dude Keon one time played in Staples Center at around noon against the Salt Lake City Stars, right? Him and Jay Scrubb, and then that night they played an NBA game in the same building. Okay, like
very weird.
Yes, like typically the Agua Caliente Clippers, they played their home games in Ontario, California, not Ontario, Canada. some miles east of LA. But there was an issue at the arena and they had to play their games there. So I got to see both of those games. The Clippers got smacked that night, I think by the Pelicans or the Kings, one of those teams. So I actually, like Keon got some garbage time. And that was, Keon is a very young person. Okay.
Yep.
He's even younger than Brandon Boston Jr., who I think most people following the Clippers are like, yeah, Brandon Boston, that's the young phenom. It's like Keon is even younger than Brandon. And obviously Keon was the first round pick, but Keon had so many starts and stops beginning in the preseason. He missed the first preseason game because of an illness. He missed the first regular season game because of an illness. He sprained an ankle one time in the G League before coming back. Like he's just had he's another one who I was looking forward to getting to know more. I think like this opportunity came up for the Clippers and we're like, screw it, we're just going to do it. The Clippers are obviously used to ditching first round picks anyway, whether they're good or not. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was a really good rookie. And it's like, oh, Paul George available? Let's go.
Let's do it.
Him and every other first round pick we can include, right? So the thing with Keon, the best thing I can say about Keon is I know he loves basketball. I know he's going to work hard. His athleticism got him drafted in the first round. If you watch University of Tennessee basketball, gouge your eyes or take something for your eyes. That offense was absolutely garbage. I have nothing nice to say about the University of Tennessee's offense. That's subjective too. I have nothing against SEC or for SEC basketball. I'm just letting you know, like it was bad. So Keon was already going to have a lot of development in terms of how to do stuff in a competent pro offense. And the thing that Keon is going to have to show in Portland is that can he remember plays? Can he understand where he needs to be on a given basis? And I'm not just saying as the guy with the ball in his hands. Like if you're going to be an off guard, you got to know where to be in the corner. You got to know where to be when you're coming off. You got to know where the next action is when they take your primary action away. He has a ton of development. When I say raw, I mean, man, you might as well, Portland picked him up on the Oregon Trail. That's how raw Keon Johnson is. So that's going to be a multi-year project. It would have been with the Clippers, and now that's the case with a Portland team that still somehow doesn't have their own G League team.
Yeah, the last left. I mean, I can't imagine this ownership group gets the Blazers a G League team, but if the new ownership group comes in, boy, howdy, would it be nice to have an in-house developmental program to get young players better, or even an out-of-house developmental program like at Sioux Falls or something. Other teams have made it happen. You could make it happen to Portland Trailblazers. I'm talking to y'all. So from what I've heard about Keon, it's like the shot is not there yet. Like he's not an outside shooter yet. It's just an athlete. I've heard two comparisons, and tell me if you think they're close. One, Bruce Brown said he could be like a small ball kind of screener, non-shooter, and the other one was Nasir Little. Do you think either of those are close?
Absolutely not. No, I don't like any of those. I think Bruce Brown reminds me of, Bruce Brown is basically Eastern Conference Terrence Mann, and even that is like, for one, I don't know how Steve Nash ever got to the point to have Bruce Brown out of his rotation. But Bruce Brown plays, we saw him last year. He played like a 5, you know what I mean? Like Bruce Brown is disruptive. He can do some things with the ball in his hands. He hasn't been allowed to touch the ball in Brooklyn, but maybe he'll be able to do that with a certain guy not there on the team. Who knows? Bruce has never really developed his shot. But like, that's the kind of player Bruce Brown is. Like, Bruce Brown is a thicker body guy, and Keon is absolutely not that type. And same thing with Nasir. Like, Nasir is like 6'6" and with bulk. Like, he's closer to Justice than anything.
Agreed.
I don't. Yeah. And no disrespect to whoever you heard that from.
I'll out them privately.
Yeah. I mean, no disrespect. I love it when people kind of get outside the box with who they might think a player reminds them of. It's just that for so many reasons, Keon doesn't fit any of that. Like, Keon is a scrawny dude. He is 6'4". He needs a few more square meals for sure in this league. And the jump shot needs work, but I actually think his jump shot was getting better I mean, his jump shot was awful in summer league. It is probably subpar now.
Right.
It's gone from a D to probably a C minus. That's
There you go.
improvement.
There you go.
Like it's the swing factor for Keon for sure, but I really just think that his awareness of the game on both ends of the floor, that's what needs to pick up. Not just offensively either, defensively. You can't just play hard and have your eyes closed,
Right.
while you're playing hard. That obviously leads to accidents, and accidents aren't good. So he's got a lot of work to do in the mental part of it. I think he's going to work hard, but can he do it? That's, again, multi-year project. But I don't see him being someone who is going to be crashing guys like Little and Bruce Brown are.
Yeah, that's interesting because one of the Bruce Brown comp source, we'll call it. I think longtime listeners will be able to know who I'm talking about because I literally mentioned him last week on the show, but we won't out him here for protect him from law. But said that he was like at least 3 years away. Like we're talking year 4, final year of his rookie contract. You think he can be a contributor? And I think, if the Blazers are viewing him like a first round pick, then that's the timeline that you have to kind of do the calculations on. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think the most fun part of the Portland trade from their perspective is, and this is something that everyone should be thinking about, these future first round picks, also known as the Oklahoma City collection, right? It's like they're so exciting when you have them, but then when you use them, they are immediately like, oh, that just takes away all the value. You actually use this on a real person? What the hell are you doing? Like
a real 19-year-old who needs seasoning to get better at NBA basketball? Dang it.
Yeah, I literally called the second round pick, which used to be Detroit's, that Portland got from the Clippers in this trade, as, somebody's 16-year-old son.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. It's like, oh my God, the possibility we can draft this stash, or we can get this underachiever, or we can get this 4-year college guy who's going to be really good, but because his arms are too short, he's going to slip in the draft. Like that's the fun part of these draft picks, man. Nah, what the Blazers got in Keon is a used but still incredibly futuristic first round pick. And if you look at it that way, then it's a little different. You guys can say his name. His name is Keon Johnson. You don't have to say future first round
pick. Right, exactly. Partially protected, lightly protected 2026 first round pick. Does not ring off the tongue. Keon Johnson, a real person, a real adult who's played 15 NBA games.
Yep.
Law, thanks so much for joining us. Listeners, subscribe to The Athletic because Law is as good as it gets covering the Clippers. You got anything you want to promote? Anything fun coming up you want people to read?
Hey, I honestly just want to give this space a shout out to our editors on the NBA team at The Athletic. They do a great job. Rob Peterson's put together the 75th anniversary team project. We ranked them as a collection of all contributing, and it's coming to an end. Obviously, you can probably tell who's going to be 1, 2, 3, all that, but it's coming to an end this week. Obviously, All-Star Weekend is this week. We're going to be celebrating the game. So, I'm going to be doing my part. I wrote 2 stories. I wrote one on Kawhi Leonard and Oscar Robertson. It was great to just look at the history of the game. So, please support me, but support my team, and shout out to everybody who covers the game of basketball. It's a fun year to cover basketball, even in the midst of this pandemic that we're in, because there's so much history and appreciation for it. So I'm going to be unselfish and pay it forward.
There you go. True pass first point guard out here. Law's maybe a wing though, just for those of you scouting at home. Law's probably like a 2-3. If you really want to know the deal.
Hey, add me if you want to, man. If you're in the area, we can get this game on. We out the hiatus now.
Yeah, there you go. It's Law's in Phoenix. If you were in downtown Phoenix, look for my man and let's see if you could give him some buckets. All right, appreciate you, dude. We'll have you back soon. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much, Mike.
One more big thank you to Law for joining the program. Law rocks. Read his stuff. He loves basketball and he gets you closer to the team. Nobody's covering the Clippers better than him right now. So make sure you subscribe to The Athletic so you can read more of Law's work. We're here. We've made it to the All-Star break. The Blazers are going to take some time off. Locked On Blazers is not. We're not going anywhere. We'll have shows next week We'll look forward. We'll look back. We're going to do some roundtable stuff with some other Locked On hosts. Going to be a ton of fun. This is a daily podcast. It's going to still be a daily podcast even during the All-Star break. So come join us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then when the Blazers finally play on Thursday, we'll have that game covered too. The second half, or the second portion, maybe is a better way to say it, of the season is here, and Locked On Blazers here to stay 5 days a week. Make the show your first listen every day. It's free and available on all platforms. And tell your pals to do the same. Just search Locked On Blazers, and they'll find us right wherever they're looking for us. Appreciate you listening. Talk to you soon.